And then when you go to run the exploits, you run the bin loader on port 9020 instead of GoldHEN. And then once that loads up successfully and it says it's waiting for you to send the payload, you can then send it with netcat GUI to get an early copy of GoldHEN up and running, the latest version. However, if you're watching this a little bit further on, then it's probably already been updated in the exploit host. You can just go on your favorite exploit host and load it from there. It should be available, version 2.4 beta 15, and you can go ahead and give it a try. So with the latest version now running, if we head into the GoldHEN options, we can see what's been changed in this new version. The main change here, if we go into Game Overlay, you can see we now have an Enable System Infos option, and this is essentially implementing what was available in the Orbis Toolbox payload into GoldHEN. So Orbis Toolbox by OSM originally created the first kind of augmentation of the PS4 UI. It'll allow you to do things like, just have custom menu options in the settings menu, and then you could also enable system info that would show you your RAM usage, your VRAM usage, CPU usage, all of that stuff when you load up a game. That has now been integrated into GoldHEN, so we can now do it all from within GoldHEN instead of having to use Orbit's Toolbox if you want that information. So we can show RAM usage, VRAM usage, CPU usage, CPU usage average, CPU temperature, SoC temperature, thread count, as well as an IP address. This was one of my own personal requests. The Sistrel was to add the show IP address option. Of course, I've been in this situation many times where I'm trying to use PS4 debug with some remote trainer or remote mod tool or debugging software, and then I don't know what my IP address is because it's probably changed since the last time I had my console on, and I have to go and check my settings again and back out to the system settings to find the IP address. Well, with this, you can just have it displayed on screen on your game so that you always know what your IP address is, which is pretty handy. So that's now being added. And you also have some options here where you can position the information to the right of the screen or the left of the screen. That also includes the FPS counter as well. The same with the text color. You can change it from the default white to green, red, yellow, magenta, and cyan. We'll go ahead and change it to cyan here. And that again will also apply to the FPS counter too, which is its own separate option here, show FPS counter. So those options will apply to that as well as the system info. So that's the main change that's been added, but there's been another really useful change that was also a request that I made to Sistro here. So once again, really glad that he's gone ahead and added this. So if we go into the plugin settings, we've got an Enable Game Patch plugin option. Now this will be grayed out if you don't have any plugins installed, so you need to have the Game Patch plugin installed in order for this option to be selectable. But this will just do exactly what it says on the tin. It will enable the Game Patch plugin. Now why does this matter? Well, one of the issues that we have at the moment, or previous versions of GoldHEN had, is that there wasn't really any way to get the Game Patch plugin working without manually having to download the plugins.ini file, the configuration file for the plugins, and manually copying it to the GoldHEN folder on the hard drive. That's what you had to do in order to get the Game Patch plugin working, which was kind of unfortunate because you could actually set up a lot of stuff without the computer required. As soon as you had GoldHEN running, you can technically install the Homebrew store without the computer, and then you can also then use the Homebrew store to download the Cheats Manager, and you can use the Cheats Manager to download the latest plugins, patches, and cheats, and then you can use all of those cheats without having to do anything with the computer. However, that wasn't the case for the game patches, even though you could download the latest game patches with the Cheats Manager, as well as all the latest plugins, including the Game Patch plugin, and you could select what patch you wanted to enable in the Cheats Manager. All without a computer, you would still need to copy that INI file manually in order to actually enable the Game Patch plugin, which was, not a great system. This solves the problem now, so even if you don't have the plugins to INI file on your hard drive, if you haven't copied it, you can still just enable this option and get the game patches working, as you'll see here. So if I go ahead and run Bloodborne, we can see the changes that have been applied. I've already gone and applied a few patches with the Cheats Manager. And as you can see, patches get applied. I don't have the plugins to INI file on my hard drive, but the Game Patch plugin is working. You can see I'm achieving, roughly 60 FPS with the FPS counter. And you can see we have all of our system information showing up there. We've got our RAM usage, VRAM usage, CPU usage, including all the individual threads, as well as the average CPU usage. We've got our temperatures showing there, thread count, as well as our IP address right there. And you can see we have our 60 FPS patch by Lance McDonald applied. So all of that is working. Now, one thing I do also want to mention here is the Cheats Manager. We have two versions of the Cheats Manager now, but you can see we have the PS4 Cheats Manager and we have the GoldHEN Cheats Manager. And these are pretty much the same application. The only difference is the PS4 Cheats Manager has the ability to decrypt MC4 cheat files, whereas the GoldHEN Cheats Manager does not have that option. Besides that, they're exactly the same. Now, the reason why I believe there's two of these different versions is that there was some kind of disagreement within the GoldHEN team regarding the decryption of MC4 cheats, which I believe certain people did not like. And, of course, the developer of the Cheat Manager, Damian Perino, basically decided that he wanted to be able to decrypt MC4 cheat files. He doesn't like the idea that cheat files should be encrypted, where you're not able to see what it's actually doing. And therefore, he wanted to have its Cheat Manager be able to decrypt them, whereas I guess some people in the GoldHEN team disagreed with that and didn't want that feature, which is why we have two separate versions, one with and one without those features. So that's basically it as far as I'm aware. The MC4 format is probably not going to be used very much now that it can be decrypted. It's also worth mentioning that the GoldHEN Cheats Manager was removed from the Homebrew store, so the PS4 Cheats Manager is the only version that can now be downloaded from the Homebrew store, but the GoldHEN Cheats Manager is still available in the normal GitHub repo. So there is that, and it was also updated with the latest cheats around the same time as PS4 Cheats Manager released. So I'm not 100% sure right now if the GoldHEN Cheats Manager is just basically a dead project at this point, or if it's going to continue to be updated alongside PS4 Cheats Manager, or if PS4 Cheats Manager is just the go-to version going forward. So there is that. So if we go back to here and we go back into our plugin settings, again, if this is graded out for you and you can't select this to enable it, all you need to do is run the PS4 Cheats Manager or the GoldHEN Cheats Manager and then update the plugins, and then the patches, select what patches you want to apply to the game, and then you can back out and you'll have the ability to enable this once the plugin is detected in the plugins location in Data GoldHEN Plugins. So yeah, that is basically it. Those are the two main changes in this new version of GoldHEN. You've basically got Orbis Toolbox functionality now integrated into GoldHEN, along with the ability to enable the Game Patch plugin without having to manually install that plugins.ini file in order to enable that. So besides those two main changes, there's been a couple of minor improvements too. There's been some improvements made to the FTP server, as well as the plugins loader, and there's also been a new GoldHEN supporters, that option that has been added in here. So we've got GoldHEN supporters, and this lists all the people who have supported the project in some way or another. I'm assuming it's probably the people who have been donating over the years to the GoldHEN project, but, you know, it may also be people who have contributed in other ways. I'm not 100% sure, but that's pretty cool, though. They've got everybody's name up here who has supported the project. So, yeah, anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it or found information useful. If